This is NDTV. And you're watching Ndtv-Hindu.
Is Tamil Nadu becoming the home for fakes? Fake ISO certificates being sold for a meager price. It's an Ndtv-Hindu expose. Its Advantage Law students, 7 policemen are suspended for alleged attack on student Ashok Kumar. The CBCID steps in. If you receive your courier parcel late, a court rules that's inefficiency in service as well. Planning to discard your books? Wait, we give you a better alternative. And it's one of the blockbuster weddings of the Tinsel town. Rajnikant's daughter Saundarya all set to tie the knot tomorrow. A very good evening. You're watching Headlines Now with me, Ashmit Kumar. Let's now take a look at some national headlines. Maoists kill one of the 4 cops held hostage in Bihar. Nitish Kumar says he's ready to talk to the Naxals. Foreign Secretary Nirupama Rao returns after a 3-day trip to Sri Lanka. Says she's satisfied with the progress made in resettlement of IDPs there. The empowered group of ministers will meet on rotting grain issue after the apex court's wrap on the grain distribution to the poor. Pakistan succumbs to pressure from the ICC and drops the tainted trio from the T20 and the one-day series against England. Well, most of us have heard of ISO certification or certification given by an international standard-setting organization. We are often carried away by brochures that claim they have a particular company has ISO certification and that they are of high quality. Well, here is why you should not. Ndtv-Hindu ran a sting operation to uncover agencies in Chennai which offer fake ISO certificates. Our reporter found out all you need is 20 to 35,000 rupees to get your company an ISO certificate.
ISO has not recognized this company in Muglivakkam, which operates as an unauthorized certifier. This clerk in the Quest certification company offered to get an ISO 9000-2008 certificate for rupees 35,000. Hard to believe that this hospital too is ISO certified. Doctor here says it was easy. The hospital got the ISO certificate in 3 months.
Within 3 months, I got the international certification for the hospital.
The factory also has an ISO certificate.
Within 2 days to maximum 5 days குள்ள அவங்க இது பண்ணி சர்டிஃபிகேஷன் கொடுத்துருவாங்க.
In Chennai, it's not just fake drugs or fake mark sheets. Looks like anything can be faked. This only highlights there's no official authority to govern the certification system. In Chennai with Peer Mohammed, this is Shrikant Das for NDTV-Hindu.
Now for more on this, we are now joined by an auditor, Mr. Satish Rao. Mr. Rao, if you can hear us, have you ever heard of a company or visited a company called Quest Certification Private Limited? And do you feel that the company follows the norms that have been specified by the International Accreditation Organization? Mr. Rao, if you can hear us? Right, and for more, we'll be getting back with Mr. Rao in just a little while, but to talk more about the issue, we're also joined by Gladys Daniel, a trademark patents advocate. Welcome to the show, man. It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
Ma'am, can you give us a brief background? Now, this company is operating despite the fact that there are some laws which operate in that space. Now, can you point out the laws that the company is operating within, and if it's managed to find a loophole perhaps to operate within?
Well, the ISO organization has to work within the ambit of the BIS. The Bureau of Indian Standards is the organization set up by the Indian government to issue these certifications. and the standardization certificates have to be issued by the BIS organization under the BIS Act. So, therefore, only organizations which are accredited to the BIS organization in India can issue this certificate.
Right.
Now, this organization Quest, it appears from your sting operation, is not accredited to BIS,
Right.
and unless they are accredited to BIS, they cannot issue such a standardization certificate.
Right.
Because in India, unless they are accredited to BIS, they cannot issue any standardization certificate.
Right. Now that you have mentioned that, interestingly, you also remarked that right before the show that the BIS does not have any provisions for making such companies liable for their actions, whereas there are some provisions outside of the BIS. So, would you care to expand on that?
Well, the BIS does recognize a few offences, but the BIS in its ambit only recognizes offences like issuing false marks or applying for marks which are deceptively similar. It does not within its ambit recognize the issuance of false certificates. So, therefore, they come within the ambit and the operation of the Indian Penal Code.
Right.
Now, the Indian Penal Code recognizes two offences. One offence is forgery or creation of a false document. That would be section 466 of the IPC and also section 468 of the IPC, which is creating a false or a forged document for the purpose of cheating, and
Right.
both these offences attract 7 years imprisonment and fine.
Right.
So, this would be an offence falling under those sections.
Right. Now, that's now to expand the scope of discussion here. Now, they are issuing false certificates here, but they also try to market it very well by way of a well-constructed website. Is that perhaps another area that can be looked upon as a violation of certain norms, as they are falsely promoting their products, which in this
Yes.
case happens to be false certificates?
Yes, they are using this website to attract the attention of innocent persons. In this case, it appears to be hospitals and factories who are led into this offense of getting these false certification, and this would also constitute a cyber crime which is also punishable within the ambit of those laws. So, it does constitute offences within those laws as well.
Right. Okay. So to summarize the discussion so far is that BIS acts as a nodal agency for issuing such certificates, and
Right.
any agency which is operating outside of the network of the BIS or associated bodies is actually violating, if not the BIS norms, then definitely the ones in the IPC,
IPC.
and is liable for action.
Right.
And it is liable for action. So my next question to you would naturally be, which agencies are now responsible for taking action against such bodies which issue false certificates?
The organization which will take action against people who commit offences would be the police. And as soon as they receive a complaint from an aggrieved person, and by an aggrieved person I mean anybody who is defrauded by seeing a false certification. Now, they go to a hospital or they go to a factory expecting a certain standard when they see this kind of a certification. But when this certification does not match the standard which that organization caters to and runs to,
Right.
it is a fraud on the public, and
Right.
therefore any aggrieved person can give a complaint to the police.
Right.
And as soon as such a complaint is received by the police will take action against the organization, issuing such certificates, and also if the organization that is receiving the certificate is acting hand in glove with that organization against the organization which is receiving the certificate.
Right. Ma'am, again, speaking of the term that you used here, aggrieved. Now, to break it down for our viewers, would a viewer watching this show be would he or she have the legal authority to perhaps pursue this case with the necessary authorities? Would that person fall under the category of aggrieved, perhaps?
If they have any kind of interaction with the organization which has received the certificate, they can certainly approach the police for action.
Right. So at this point, how do you see the role of hospitals and factories which acquire such false certificates? Now, are they liable for any actions, or are they the victims themselves?
It depends. If from the way I saw the video that you played at the time of the news, I noticed that these organizations seem to be aware that these certificates were being issued for a price,
Right.
And not because they cater to any kind of standards. It was 25,000, 35,000 and I get a certificate.
Right.
It was not like I meet this standard and I get a certificate. I meet that standard and I get a certificate.
Right.
So it appears that they seem to be hand in glove and they are not meeting any kind of standards laid down by the BIS to get this certificate. So it seems to be that they are hand in glove with the
Right.
organization.
So according to our expert, it's not merely the people who are issuing such certificates, but also who propagate such certificates by actually getting involved in the project, and as our expert pointed out, being hand in glove. And again, to talk more about this, we are now joined by an auditor himself, Mr. Satish Rao. Mr. Satish Rao, my first question to you will be, are you aware of an agency or a private institution called Quest Certification?
Yes, recently we have assessed them on behalf of the Australia New Zealand Accreditation Board.
So are you aware of the fact that do they follow the norms of perhaps the International Accreditation Forum?
Yes, as far as our assessment goes, they are in line. It is a legal body and they are doing certifications in this scheme. But I don't know, I can't say about what they have done in the past. But right now we have knowledge that they are with the Dubai Accreditation Board called DAC. And they have been earlier issuing with a British body called, I forgot the name, yeah, it was a British body.
Right.
Yeah,
So
and
you
now
seem to
they
be
have started their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you seem to be backing the legitimacy of this organization. So in that case, would you also go on to say that can you vouch for perhaps the ISO certificates that have been issued to over 250 companies? Would you vouch for the legitimacy and the credibility of the certificates that have been offered by this company here?
See, I cannot vouch for what has happened in the past. What I can tell you is what we have. There were a lot of issues like a legal entity and they are being properly set up, the organization and the issues and registrations and all, which we have tried to straighten it out now. And yes, they are now coming on the right track.
Right.
Maybe in the past, I'm not sure what has happened. They were, on behalf of a British body, they were issuing certificates.
Right. So you pointed out now they have affiliated themselves to a body in Dubai, but interesting as it may seem, the body itself is not associated to either IAF or the ISO. So does that act as a major dent on the credibility of the company, because they are issuing ISO certificates with being associated to a company that is in no way affiliated or associated to the ISO or the IAF?
See, there are two different things. ISO is a standards making body. IAF is the accreditation forum of all different accreditation bodies of the world. And Dubai Accreditation is a newly established council, maybe 1.5 years old. So they have to still apply and become a full member of the IAF. Then they get recognition. But we can't say it is not okay, because it is approved by the Dubai government and it has been established there in Dubai.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, Mr. Rao, for joining us and for giving us insight about your views about the Quest Certification Private Limited. And with that, we move on to again back to our legal expert here. Ma'am, again, we'll now talk about the claims of Quest certification. Now, they claim that they are affiliated to a body. They draw their accreditation from a company based in Dubai, which we have learnt is in no way associated to the ISO or the IAF. So does that render the certificates offered by this company as being null and rather void?
To issue a standardization certificate, they have to be accredited to BIS. So if Quest is accredited to BIS, that's all they require. So if Quest is accredited to BIS, then that is fine. Then they will not attract any kind of penal provision. But if Quest is not accredited to BIS, they cannot issue a standardization certificate.
Right, and they are liable for action, as you said, as you pointed out, under the IPC.
If they are not accredited to BIS.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us and for shedding light on the issue and about the legal aspect, for breaking it down for our viewers. I'm sure our viewers and we have certainly learned a lot about how to go about this entire thing. Thank you so much for joining us now.
Welcome.
And with that, we move on to other developments in the state now. In a major development in the case of attack on law student Ashok Kumar, 7 police officers have been penalized with an order of suspension. What's more, the CBCID has taken charge of the case. This will come across as a consolation to the hordes of law college students who took to the streets demanding justice on the issue. Now, just to remind our viewers, law student Ashok Kumar was beaten and left to die, his colleagues say, on August 18th, allegedly by police officers who claim he was drunk and had misbehaved on board a public transport bus. Meanwhile, Ashok is lodged at a private hospital in the city and he continues to be in a critical condition. Now, these are the questions that are on the minds of the public. The CBCID are now going to investigate the case. But what exactly will be the agency be investigating? And what will be the key elements of the probe? Primarily, what exactly happened at the police station in Thirukarukundur? Was Ashok Kumar really abused and then beaten up? How is the police responsible or not so? And was Ashok Kumar harassed at the police station or manhandled by the public as the police claim? And finally, is there a chance that he was tortured based on caste? Now, if you have complaints of delayed courier services, then this is for you. A consumer court ordered a courier company to compensate a customer because it delivered a check after a delay of 12 days. Peer Mohammed says the court treated this case as inefficiency in service of the company.
Jafar Khan sent a cheque for over 32,000 rupees towards life insurance policy through a courier service, as the due date for the payment was just 4 days away. But the cheque was delivered after 12 days. Furious over the delay, Khan took the matter to the South Chennai District Consumer Forum.
Having delivered the consignment belatedly, the courier company has committed deficiency in service, and due to that, the consumer has suffered a loss.
The Consumer Forum ordered the courier company to compensate Khan with 10,000 rupees for causing mental agony and 3,000 rupees towards cost of the case.
It is anybody's guess that if a policy gets lapsed and if any untoward incident happens, then the policy may not be paid at all.
The verdict was a great relief for Khan. There are many like him who are affected by such delays, but very few take action.
Many courier services fail to value the trust consumers place on them. In such a situation, the judgment of the District Consumer Forum is a good beginning. In Chennai, Peer Mohammed, Ndtv-Hindu.
Now we're slipping into a small break, but on the other side, are you planning to discard your books? Well, hold on a second there, we'll give you a better alternative. And Rajnikant, all set to make headlines on Friday, just this time, not for a movie. That'll be up on the other side.